The day I got married, I smiled so wide, people thought I was the happiest bride in the world. But deep in my heart, I was scared because I was hiding a big secret. I looked at the man standing beside me, my husband, Leo. He held my hand tightly as the pastor said the vows. He was handsome, with a sweet smile and charming words. Everyone loved him. My friends said I was lucky, but they didn't know what I knew. Leo didn't love me. He loved what he thought I had, nothing. And I was glad he thought that, because the truth was, I had inherited 3 apartments from my grandmother, and I never told him, not a single word. My name is Naomi, and I'm 27 years old. Let me tell you how hiding those apartment keys saved me from the biggest mistake of my life. When I was a little girl, my grandmother raised me after my parents died in a car accident. She was the kindest woman I've ever known. Her laugh could light up a room. She sold fabrics in the market and worked hard all her life. We didn't have much money, but we had love. Before she died, she called me to her hospital bed. She held my hand and said, "Naomi, I may not have riches in the bank, but I have 3 old apartments in the city. They are all yours. Don't trust easily, my child. People change when they smell money." I cried. I didn't want apartments. I wanted her to stay. But 2 weeks later, she passed away. And I was alone in the world. I cried every night, but I stayed strong and went to see the lawyer. He handed me 3 sets of keys, 3 deeds, and a heavy envelope. They were mine. 3 full apartments, paid for, in my name. It felt like a dream. I didn't tell anyone, not even my best friend. I wanted to take time to think. The apartments were old and dusty, but they were full of memories. Grandma had rented them out for years, but they were now empty. I cleaned them slowly. I cried in the corners. I touched the walls like I was touching her. I wasn't ready to share them with the world. And then I met Leo. He came into my life like a sweet breeze after a storm. He was funny, confident, and always knew what to say. I met him at a friend's party and we talked for hours. He didn't even ask what I did for a living. He just looked at me like I was special. It felt good. I had been so lonely after Grandma died. Leo made me laugh again. We started dating. He always said he didn't care about money. "Money ruins marriages," he told me one evening. "I want a love that's real, not based on what's in your bank account." That sounded sweet, but something in my stomach twisted. Why did he bring up money so often? I never asked him for anything. In fact, I paid for most of our dates. Still, I smiled and nodded. "I don't have much," I told him. And that was true. I didn't have much money, but I had property. And I was smart enough not to say a word. Leo didn't have a job. He said he was working on a business idea, a startup, he called it. I didn't mind. I thought maybe he just needed time. Grandma always taught me to be patient. We dated for a year. Then one day he proposed with a silver ring and a nervous smile. I may not have a big car or a big house, but I have a big heart. "Will you marry me?" I wanted to say no. Something still didn't feel right, but I was tired of being alone, tired of crying in my small rented room. So I said yes. We had a small wedding. My dress was simple, but I looked beautiful. My heart pounded with each step I took because I was marrying a man who didn't know the truth. He didn't know about the keys in the back of my drawer, or the papers hidden in my closet, or the strong locks on the apartment doors that only I could open. As we stood before the altar, he whispered, "You're going to make me so happy." And I smiled. But I also whispered in my head, "You're not touching those apartments, Leo, ever." After the wedding, we moved into a small one-bedroom apartment. I paid the rent. Leo said he was still working on his startup. He didn't tell me what it was, and I didn't ask. I cooked, I cleaned, I worked extra hours at the boutique. He played video games and watched YouTube. Sometimes I sat alone in the bathroom and cried. Was this what love was supposed to feel like? Still, I said nothing. I held my secret close because I had a strange feeling like one day that secret would save me. And I was right. Our marriage was only 3 months old when I started to feel truly alone. Leo was no longer the sweet man who gave me compliments and held my hand at night. He turned into a roommate who barely noticed me. Every morning I would wake up early, iron his shirt, and go to work at the boutique. He, on the other hand, stayed in bed, snoring with the TV remote still in his hand. I thought maybe he was tired. Maybe he was stressed. Maybe he just needed encouragement. So I tried. I left him little notes that said things like, "You're amazing. I believe in your dreams. We can do anything together." He would smile, kiss my cheek, and go right back to watching TV. I begged him to get a part-time job to help with bills, but he always said the same thing. "If I focus on my startup now, we'll be rich by next year." I didn't even know what the startup was. He wouldn't tell me. "You wouldn't understand," he'd say. "Just trust me." But trust was becoming harder. One evening I came home from work tired and sweaty. My feet were aching. I had worked a double shift. I dropped my bag and looked around. The room was messy. Plates were stacked in the sink. Leo was asleep on the couch with a half-eaten burger in his hand. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Not because I was poor, but because I was starting to feel like a stranger in my own home. Still, I stayed quiet. I didn't tell him about the apartments. I didn't tell him that I had more than enough money to make our lives easier. I wanted to know, truly know, if he would love me without it. Spoiler, he didn't. Then came the message. It was a Saturday. I had just done laundry and was hanging clothes on the balcony when I heard his phone buzz. He was in the shower. I didn't mean to snoop, but something told me to look. The message on the screen read, "Don't worry, baby. Once I can access her finances, I'll get us that house. She's just too dumb to see it." My hands began to shake. I read it 3 times to be sure. It came from a number saved as Tina with a heart emoji. Baby? Finances? She's just too dumb to see it? I froze. For a moment, I thought I couldn't breathe. Then I heard the water stop. I quickly placed the phone back where it was and pretended to be folding clothes. Leo came out, smiling like nothing happened. "Hey, babe, can you make pancakes?" I nodded, but inside, my heart was cracking. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, my fists clenched under the blanket. Leo snored beside me like a baby, while I lay there wide awake, thinking of every single thing he ever said to me. All the "I love yous," all the "you're my queens," all the "we don't need money to be happy." It was all fake. He was playing a long game, waiting for the right time to strike. And I knew exactly what he wanted: my inheritance. But the fool didn't know. He was already 3 steps behind because I never put his name on anything, because I never spoke about the apartments out loud, because I never told anyone, not even my best friend, what I truly had. And now I was glad, so very glad. I decided not to confront him right away. No yelling, no fighting, no slapping or throwing things like in the movies. I was going to be calm, sweet, smiling, because I needed to catch him red-handed. The next day, I made him his favorite breakfast, pancakes and eggs. I kissed his forehead. I told him how lucky I was to have him. He looked confused at first. Maybe he thought I'd found out and would leave. But when I smiled at him and handed him orange juice, he relaxed. He had no idea. That afternoon, I called my cousin Zara. She was a lawyer and one of the few people I trusted with my life. I told her everything. Zara didn't yell. She just sighed and said, "You did the right thing, Naomi. Let's move the apartments into a trust under my name. That way, even if he tries anything, legally he gets nothing." I felt safer just hearing her voice. We started the paperwork the next morning. Back at home, I started cleaning one of the apartments, the oldest one. It was dusty and broken, with peeling paint and cracked tiles, but it was perfect for my plan. I installed a tiny hidden camera in the ceiling, one in the kitchen, one near the front door. I made sure everything looked normal, like I was just renovating. Then I did something that Leo's eyes light up. I told him the secret. One night while we were eating spaghetti, I smiled and said, "Babe, I forgot to tell you something. Before Grandma died, she gave me 3 apartments in her will. I've been holding on to them, but I think it's time we used them." His fork froze mid-air. His eyes widened like I just told him we won the lottery. "Wait, what? Are you serious?" I nodded. "Yeah, I want us to renovate one and maybe rent it out. Want to help me?" He jumped up from his seat and hugged me tightly. "Of course, baby. I'm so proud of you. We're going to be so happy. You'll see." I saw something else. I saw greed in his eyes. Not love, not excitement, just hunger for money. I handed him the keys to the worst apartment and said, "Start there. See what needs to be fixed." And he did. 2 days later, he called someone. I was watching the camera, and what I saw was the beginning of the end for him. I sat in my car across the street, watching from my phone. The hidden camera inside the apartment was working perfectly. Leo had no idea that the dusty, broken place I gave him wasn't really for renovating. It was a trap. And he had just walked into it. He was inside, phone in hand, pacing around like a man with a plan. He looked around the apartment quickly, too quickly. He wasn't checking the walls or the plumbing. He was on the phone. I turned up the volume and listened. "Yeah, it's old, but it's in a good location. Once we clean it up a bit, we can flip it fast. She doesn't know what she has. It's under her name, but I'll handle that." My heart beat faster. There it was, proof. He wasn't trying to help me fix anything. He was trying to sell it. He left the apartment and drove away. I followed from a distance. He stopped at a small cafe and met with the real estate agent. I parked across the street and watched as they talked and shook hands. I couldn't hear their words, but I didn't need to. I had the camera footage all ready. That was enough. Later that night, I copied the videos from the camera onto a flash drive. He came home smiling, holding a plastic bag full of chicken wings. "Dinner, baby," he said. "You've been working so hard. Let's relax tonight." I smiled too, but inside I was shaking with anger. He was going behind my back, selling what wasn't his, smiling in my face while planning to rob me. And he wasn't even doing it smartly. He was rushing, too excited, too greedy. That would be his mistake. The next day, I returned to the apartment early in the morning. There was a paper stuck to the door, a for sale flyer. My apartment, for sale, without my permission. I peeled it off and put it in my bag. Another piece of evidence. I stepped inside and checked the camera. It was still running. I smiled and walked out quietly. That night, I baked Leo's favorite stew, goat meat pepper soup. He danced into the kitchen, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're amazing. Honestly, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me." I looked into his eyes and asked, "Do you love me, Leo?" He blinked. "Of course. Why would you even ask that?" I just smiled. He wasn't even good at lying anymore. The next day, he made a big move. He printed out fake documents with my name signed at the bottom. I watched the whole thing on camera as he showed them to the real estate agent. "She signed already," he told the man. "She's just not here today." The agent looked unsure, but Leo was good at talking. That's how he got me, too. And then he made the call that broke my heart for the last time. He called Tina. I watched him lean back on a dirty chair and say, "Baby, it's happening. I got the papers. I got the keys. Once I sell this place, we're rich. You and me. No more hiding. Naomi's too stupid to even know what's going on." He laughed. Tina laughed too. And something inside me snapped. All the pain, all the crying nights, all the times I wanted to scream but stayed quiet. It boiled over inside me like fire in my chest. But I didn't cry this time. I just smiled because I had everything I needed. I took the flash drive, the flyer, the copied papers, and even printed screenshots from the messages from his phone. I made a neat little folder. I stared at the folder all night. It was like holding the final piece of my freedom. Zara, my cousin, called me the next day. She said the trust was complete. All 3 apartments were now protected under her legal care. Even if Leo tried to sue or claim anything, he would get nothing. "You're ready," she told me. "You've done everything right." I nodded. It's time. I cleaned the house that day, washed the floors, lit candles, changed the sheets. I wanted everything to look perfect because tonight I would end this. Not with shouting, not with drama, but with truth and proof and power. When Leo came home, he looked tired. He had no idea what was waiting for him. "Wow, babe, the house smells amazing today. You went all out today." I smiled. "It's a special night." He grinned and kissed my cheek. "What's the occasion?" I handed him a plate of stew and poured him a cold drink. He started eating fast, moaning about how good the food was. Then I stood up, walked to the TV, and plugged in the flash drive. "Leo," I said calmly, "I want to show you something." He looked confused. The TV screen lit up. It showed him inside the apartment talking to the real estate agent. Then another clip played, him forging my signature. Then the final one, his call to Tina. "We're rich, baby. Naomi's too stupid to..." He dropped the spoon and stood up. "I can explain. Please, I handed him the folder. "These are the divorce papers and everything I've collected. You can leave now." He stepped back like I'd slapped him. No, baby, please. I made a mistake. We can work it out. Don't do this." I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just looked at him. "You never loved me. You loved what I didn't show you. You tried to steal from me. And now I'm done." He fell to his knees. "Please, I don't have anything. You're all I have." I walked to the door and opened it. "Then you have nothing." And just like that, he left, and I was finally free. The door slammed behind him, and just like that, I was finally free. I stood there for a moment, the silence wrapping around me like a warm blanket. My heart was still racing, but not from fear. No, this time it was relief, power, peace. I locked the door. Then I sat down, slowly, and ate my own plate of stew. For the first time in months, food tasted good. I wasn't eating beside a liar. I wasn't cooking for someone who was planning to steal from me. I was just me, Naomi, alone in my own home, and proud of it. The next morning, I called Zara and told her everything was done. She laughed softly. "I told you, cousin. You were smart to keep quiet. If you had trusted him with the truth, you would have lost everything." I nodded. "Thank you for protecting the apartments. You protected yourself. I just gave you the papers to prove it." 2 days later, Leo tried to call. I didn't answer. He sent messages, long ones, some with tears, some with threats, some with promises. "Please, just talk to me. I was lost, Naomi. I didn't mean it. You'll regret this. I still love you. Let's fix it. We're meant to be. It was just one mistake." I blocked him. I changed my number. I deleted every old photo, every video, every sweet message I used to hold close. The real estate agent called me too. He had seen the TV footage. Leo tried to blame him. "Miss Naomi, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was lying. He told me you had agreed to everything." I didn't yell at him. I just told him the truth. "You should learn to check your facts next time." He apologized again and hung up. That was the last time I heard from him. Tina? Oh, she didn't last long either. Leo moved in with her after I kicked him out. But it didn't take long for her to realize he wasn't a prince. He was a parasite. He didn't have a job. He didn't have a plan. And now he didn't have the sweet, quiet wife who made pancakes and worked double shifts. She dumped him 2 weeks later. Leo went back to his mother's house. She called me months. "Naomi, I'm sorry for what my son did. He's a fool." I didn't say much. I just said I wished him peace. And I meant it. As for me, I finally opened the doors to the apartments again. One of them was still old and broken, but I used the money from my savings to renovate it. New floors, fresh paint, new windows, bright curtains. The second one? I rented it out to a kind young teacher and her 2 daughters. She cried when I told her she could pay in installments. I cried too. The third one? I sold it. That sale gave me the capital to open a little business I'd always dreamed of, a small bookstore cafe, in honor of my grandmother, who used to read me bedtime stories every night. I named it Mama's Stories. The day I opened the shop, I placed her old rocking chair in the corner by the window. People came in and smiled at it, not knowing the story behind it. But I knew. And every time I saw it, I smiled too. One evening, as I was closing the shop, a little girl ran up to me and said, "Auntie Naomi, I like your smile. You look like a fairy godmother." I laughed. "Thank you, sweetheart." And I realized something. I hadn't smiled like that in years. I walked home that night with the keys to my real life in my hands. Not the keys to the apartments, but the keys to my freedom. Sometimes I think back to that wedding day, to the way Leo looked at me, to how I was smiling and holding a secret in my heart. 3 apartments, 3 keys, 3 chances to lose everything or save myself. And I chose right. I still wear my grandmother's bracelet every day. It reminds me of the woman who taught me to be strong, to listen to my gut, to never hand over everything just because someone says, "I love you." And when I see women falling into the same trap I almost did, I want to whisper to them, hide your keys, protect your peace, test the love before you trust it. Because the best thing I ever did was keep my mouth shut and say nothing about those apartments until it was time. Thank